Hey, it's Patriot Smoothie at the end of day 11 for the trial of Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. Another long day of testimony. Kim Ayotte, who is the General Manager of Emergency Services and Preparedness for the City of Ottawa, on the stand again today, continuing from yesterday. We started off the day with more mess concerning the notes. Kim Ayotte was delayed until 11 a.m. so that the Crown had the opportunity to prepare their examination in chief. There was some questions about some photographs that he was going to present and some other things that may not have been properly or fully disclosed. I believe actually at one point Magus rose for the defense to say that they got this disclosure of something at like 11 o'clock this morning when they ended up coming back later. So it's just a lot of different things going on, a lot of things coming in kind of late, a lot of things that we're not aware of. It's interesting to note that Kim Ayotte said, at least in, I believe, August 16th, that he would need his notes for this. And then on the first day yesterday, he didn't even bring that. So the Crown provided him a copy of these notes and different documents. A lot of stuff in the air. If you want the exact details, as always, go and look on my X account for the play-by-play. A tremendous amount of information. I'm telling you, it's almost bursting out of my head and overflowing like a waterfall. I can't actually put my finger on it, there's so much. But let's try and take at least a few takeaways with us from this. So again, Kim Ayotte came back and the examination in chief began from the Crown. And with that, we saw questions about basically his walks. The walks, originally, of course, Kim Ayotte testifying before POEC that he only took one such walk. Now we're hearing, because of an interview he did with Detective Hassan yesterday morning, that there's now 3 such recon walks. And some of the dates, I believe the 6th of February, the 11th, the 15th. I'm not too 100% sure about that, but some of those dates, there's no supporting evidence, there's no photographs, there's no nothing, it's just all in the air. But all of a sudden there's these recon walks that are creating a lot of problems for the defense and how they're going to go forward with their cross-examination. Also some disclosure that the defense wants, that the Crown is even saying that no, this is city documentation, you have to go through the third party, through the city. Magus yesterday, of course, arguing that if that's the case and Jordan comes up, you're going to use that as an argument in Jordan. Of course, the length of the trial, if it gets to an excessive point, okay, the Crown made us go to the city for disclosure. The judge remarking today that she didn't think a third-party disclosure application is a good idea. So let's see what the Crown and the defense can actually do to work these things out together. The Crown did finish their examination of their witness, Kim Ayotte, today, asking him things about a lot of discussion about a camera on Wellington and Metcalfe, which direction it was facing, what it was seeing, and again, discussion about these walks and some pretty hilarious testimony there actually on one of the walks. So he would describe seeing a lot of commentary about February 6th and the Confederation Park, the structure that was set up there, the kitchen, and getting that removed, and his observations of how that was coming along, removing logistical things like firewood and something else that he was going to testify to logistically, but he wasn't allowed to testify to it because it was a secondhand piece of information. We stopped before he got out with whatever that was. But firewood, he was commenting on how that was going out throughout the time. We heard about how that structure, the famous kitchen at Confederation Park, was finally moved, that he actually was there and he saw it moved, that they were sharing WhatsApps and text messages inside the city about the progress of moving those logistical things. Sorry guys, we got a lot of stuff going on in the background and I gotta stay on my train of thought here because there's just so much to get through, and this is all impromptu. By the way, if you want to support this work, please consider giving me an e-transfer at realpatriotsmoothie@protonmail.com. You can see that at the bottom of the screen now. So if you feel like you appreciate this information, this service, feel free to do that. Again, all the likes, the shares, the comments, they help so much. So thank you for everyone watching, sharing, liking, commenting. Where are we at right now, time-wise?
3:50.
Thank you, Mitch behind the camera, because Chris Dacey was busy with the 1 million march today. He has taken off somewhere. I don't know, I haven't seen him all day, but we'll get back with him tomorrow and hopefully Mitch as well. Moving on. So yes, testifying about those walks, and on these walks he testified that he's constant honking of horns, that there was illegal use of the road. Now the Crown asked him to expand on the illegal use of the road. He said trucks that were parked that were not moved. He also described activities that would happen on those roads, and he was asked, okay, what kind of activities? And he would say things like speeches and so on, and dance parties. The judge actually asking, it's illegal to dance in the city of Ottawa without a permit? And he said, yes, on the road. So that was funny to me, actually. And then he would describe obstruction of the highways, like there was like the bounce castles and the hot tubs that he said were on the sidewalk. Again, if you want to go play by play, go on X, read through that. It's a big read, but there's some funny moments in there like that one if you want, I don't know. So the Crown kept going and going. That was what really stood out for me from the Crown's examination. Now we moved after lunch. We got Lawrence Greenspan for Tamara Lich coming on cross-examination. Whoa boy, he is a fast talker but accurate as an arrow. just hitting the mark every time. Very hard to keep up with. We went back through those walks. We went through the specific dates he didn't have the evidence for. We went through what he did have the evidence for, and the Greenspun indicated he was not leading any of that for the truth of his contents. So there was an objection, actually, the first one from the Crown, about hearsay that Ayotte was asked to leave. I think that was the only time today he was asked to leave, so I don't think he got his 10,000 steps in like yesterday. He was joking about that constantly being removed from the courtroom. But today, what the one removal of the Crown objected and asked, why is Greenspun doing this? Greenspun said he would do it if the witness was removed. He would explain. So they explained, and then the explanation happened, where it was okay, basically, to situate the court on this and to basically try to ask this witness about all these different things. Like Greenspun would ask a question: do you remember this meeting at this time? Did you say that? No, I don't recall. No, I don't have the note for that. So Greenspun literally walking over to the witness booth at least a dozen times to show specific parts of the notes from POEC, of notes from meetings, of city notes to the witness that he did not have, so that he could follow along and answer Greenspun's questions. And it just didn't seem like the stuff that he was asking was in the notes provided to him. These are apparently, a lot of this was transcribed notes of his own handwritten notes, of Ayotte's own handwritten notes that was done by a professional service, is these notes that was talked about. Also stuff at the POEC, testifying that there was only one walk, of course, and going through that. Also testifying about horns. I forget the specific dates, but February 11th, I believe, where on one day he testified like he was in a meeting where Rob Stewart from the federal government said that there was no longer consistent horns, and that, and then so Greenspun would ask about that note and said, okay, well, you were present at that meeting. Did you take independent notes of that meeting to the contrary of that point? No. Do you have an independent recollection otherwise? No. So then you would agree that on that date forward that there was less noise, that they were not constant, that they were sporadic, so on and so forth. And that's basically the back and forth that we had on the cross-examination. Very effective, I would say, and a lot of things that he didn't recall, and suddenly after a question or two he would recall a detail beyond that. Specific attention paid by the defense to the so-called traffic plan by the police, and basically Kim Ayotte testifying that he had no knowledge of this traffic plan, but he had knowledge of the routes in the traffic plan, basically where the police were directing the trucks where they were going to go. The three staging areas: the Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway, now renamed just called the Parkway for convenience in court, a Wellington Street, and another place I don't remember, maybe Coventry. But he had knowledge of these routes, but didn't have knowledge of the plan proper, the so-called traffic plan, which is important because Kim Ayotte is testifying consistently that he didn't have a lot. There was the police was withholding a lot of information from him. He only knew what he had to, and he only knew specific pieces. He didn't have the whole picture. There was also the matter of the communication between him, Chris, and Tamara. He had no contact at any point. This came out during the evidence in chief, the examination in chief this morning. He had no contact at any point with Tamara, and had contact with Chris Barber on the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. I think the 13th was a meeting that the city and the convoy leaders had about the negotiating, and the 14th and the 15th were text messages that Kim Ayotte sent to Chris after asking for his number on the 13th, where they were discussing the progress of moving trucks. On one of the text messages, Chris saying that they moved over 40 trucks, was very tired, was going to get it back at it again today, stuff like that. Also talking, Kim Ayotte saying to Chris that if he had any problem with any of the barriers or something set up, to reach out to him, but then Chris getting back that they were having problems with police, and there was some elaboration on there in regards to that some of these barricades were actually police, and that they would have to work with the police to get this done. Kim Ayotte had no control over any of that, so it would be something done through the police, and there was some, apparently, according to what Chris was saying in the text messages to Mr. Ayotte, some serious pushback, resistance, problems there getting the police doing that, because they were, of course, changing their operational footing at all times. There was some discussion of meetings done with Mr. Peter Slowly, with the deputy chiefs, Ferguson and Bell, so on and so forth. We got a lot of information, but it just seemed the theme to me, the takeaway was, okay, I don't remember, okay, I remember, I don't remember the overall picture, but I remember specific details from it. So it was a very interesting cross-examination from my perspective. But again, go through the reporting for the big picture, the exact play-by-play, as inaccurate as it may be, with a couple typos here or there, a couple missing exchanges, but I do believe it accurately captures the big picture. And that's going to be the thing going forward. It's going to be very interesting to see how this develops tomorrow, with Greenspun continuing his cross-examination. Then assumedly we'll get either Eunice or Magus for Barber. That's all for today, for day 11 of the trial of Chris and Tamara in Ottawa. I'm Patriot Smoothie. Have a great night.